topics, the way how to configure everything and make the troubleshooting. Those are the topics which we'll cover next week on the hands-on lab. So if you could, Moshe, switch already to my training layout. Let's try. Okay, so today we'll learn about the hardware elements, so software elements which we have and which we will cover during that course. And of course about the workflow, from the basic to the complex one, how to build them, where each part should be located, and what you need to know to ask end customer in order to prepare the working solution. At the end, we'll just also talk about the licensing. There are a few types of them, and we can choose them appropriate to the solution and to the environment which customer is asking us. So the platforms which we'll cover during that course, it's HDVG Plus, which is the most common solution, the smaller solution, which is HDVG2U, that is usually in the cheapest products or with the smaller workflows. And the last one will be the blend. That is some kind of channel in the box, so you can both playing the clips from the internal storage and also playing the graphics which we'll create in the Avid software. Of course, beside of the clearly Avid platforms, we'll need, and we'll talk also about the workstations and additional server which are needed just to set up everything in the proper way. From the software side, first of all, we'll learn what is and what we can do with the ForDesigner, which is the creation application, and we are using it for almost all controllers and all graphics in Avid. And then we'll talk about the controllers. And during this course, we'll cover Maestro, 3D Play, and the blend. So just shortly, what is HDVG Plus? I can just guess that not all of you even saw the machine. So that is 3U unit with the default configuration, as you can see on the screen. It will have 8 video insertion, SDI, 1080p, which is also additional license. By default, it's 1080i, and 4 outputs. Outputs are duplicated always. It means that we can also loop the signals between the machines if we want to use one as a background or just working with them in the chain. Additional option is also the second ingest board, which means additional 4 inputs, 4 SDI inputs. In that case, in total we'll have 4 inputs and 4 outputs. Of course, if we would like to use the dual link signals, which mean key and the fill separately, we need always to count 2 physical inputs for one insertion in the dual link. We'll open the machine, we'll have time to play with them and change the configuration during hands-on lab. But for those which will have some question about the hardware already today, at the end of the day, please remind me about them or write them right away in the chat, and I will answer them after the first part. That's how the machine looks inside. The most of the components is what you can find and buy in the shop. The most common things are the NVIDIA board, but be careful with this. They are always reconfigured by the Avid office and change the timing set to read from their DVDG card. So any attempt to replace that with a stock board will make just machine not available to play any graphics. Here in this place, that small board is what is making a whole solution and whole possibility to render the graphic. That's called DVG board, and that's what is made inside the Avid. The second hardware platform is the DVG2U. As the name is suggesting, is a smaller machine. This one came with the came in the few configuration. First of all, on the right side, as we can see, we can have dual channel. It means that inside the box we have two separate motherboards with the DVG boards, and we have two separate render engines. Yes, so in that case we can work as a main and preview, or just supporting and supply two separate channels, each of it with different content, different graphics, different signal in the background. On the bottom there is second type of the machine that is usually used for the smaller workflows or for the OB1s. In that scenario, we have on the one side the render engine machine, which is preparing all the SDI signals with our graphics. On the other side, we have fully working control PC, which means we can install in Maestro, 3D Play or the Morpho. And have just single box which can be moved between the studios, between the buildings, or even connect to the OB1. And because all of the graphics, clips, and other things which we'll need will be stored inside that box, what we'll need only is the reference signal, network cable to connect both sides, and we are ready to broadcast from any place. And of course, it's always option to buy also the single channel just with the one Linux side. In that case, the second part of the machine will be just empty, fully blocked with any outputs. With the DVG2U, we are a bit limited with the video insertions and the outputs. In that case, the maximum amount is 4 video insertion, 4 video outputs in SDI. Of course, if we are counting in the 1080i resolution. The next difference between this machine and HDVG Plus is the number of network connection or network cards. Yes, as you maybe can notice here on the slide, each side have just single network connection. It means that it's not possible to make any bounding on the network on the machine configuration. Also, if that one will go down, there is no way to get access to the machine. So if you will just step back, mind you, on HDVG Plus, there are two network connections. We always can use one to let machine communicate with the controllers or with the external storage. The second one keep as a backup or the service connection. And so with DVG2U, you are missing of that option. So here is how the DVG2U looks in the dual channel configuration. As you can see, it's just fitted inside the box, two separate motherboards with a two separate DVG board. Here's the first one. Second one, of course, both have independent power supply, so even if there will be problem with the one side, the second one working totally independent. The last hardware platform which we'll describe is a blend. Yes, this is also two machines in one, let's say, because on the first side we have fully working video engine. Yes, so we can store a lot of clips inside, depending on the configuration. We can create a playlist just to play the clips in the loop. It's easy to upload the clips. We just use the share folder and multiple codecs. So what you see in the red border, those are the outputs from the video engine part of the machine. So we have three outputs. We can have the clean output from the one physical output. Then the second connector could be showing the OSD with all the information about the timecode, clip parameters, and any possible issues with the Genlock or LTC. Then the two rows with the outputs and inputs of the left side are exactly the same what we saw in the HDVG Plus or HDVG2U machine. Those are the physical inputs and the outputs for the render engine. The most common configuration is that we are connecting the first output, the clean output from the video engine to the background input of the render engine. In that case, we have always the clips from the server playing in the background, and then wherever we'll decide on the top, we can play some additional graphics. And later during this week, when I will be describing how the controller for the blend looks, we'll learn that the graphics could be assigned as a secondary events to the clips. In that case, we can create the playlist for whole channel for whole day and just start playing it and basically forget about that.